Thank you for joining me, Ton.
Thank you for having me, Samantha.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. It's nice to see you during the workday. For those of you that don't know, I'm Samantha Tunador, and I have the honor of working with my husband, Ton, on a top local lending team, the best local lender, with Atlantic Coast Mortgage. And we are new to Substack and checking out all the tools here. And I invited Ton to have a quick conversation to help get us all connected with people here on Substack. And I think we're going to be able to share this to other channels. So we're doing a little bit of an experiment. Thank you for being here. So
is anyone here?
I don't know that we get live followers. Maybe we do. I would imagine like another social channel we do. So Ton, how do we work together? What do our roles look like?
I stayed trapped behind the computer 24/7 and you run around. Yeah. Business developing.
Business developing. How do you like that?
I like it. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
You're really good behind the computer. And what does that really mean from a client standpoint or a realtor standpoint?
Well, I mean, availability is a big thing in our business, obviously. And that's where I think a lot of loan officers, a lot of lending teams, whatever, fall by the wayside, is not to have the availability that's needed in this kind of market. I mean, we're a DC metro area, very, very fast moving, very competitive, very vibrant marketplace. And you need to be able to respond. I mean, you know, like last night, what was it, 8 o'clock? Somebody's submitting an application, like we need a quick pre-approval because of, I won't say why, but they needed it fast. And we can do that. And it's not just the two of us, obviously. We've got great support that are, you know, like me behind the computer, ready to take on whatever needs to happen. So it's just really important.
Yeah. Well, it's somewhat that speed to lead, but even in last night's situation, of course, the agent was getting ready to go on vacation in the morning and had to get everything done.
Yeah, but
that just happens in this world.
I wouldn't even say, I don't like saying speed to lead. That's not it. It's like, you know, my Zoom yesterday with Danielle's clients, and she messaged earlier asking how it went. I have hooked up with her this afternoon. I left her a voicemail. They had their financial advisor gave them lenders' names. They applied with a couple different mortgage companies, and they were just not happy that everything was AI generated emails asking them for information. They wanted to talk to somebody. So we had a 45-minute Zoom, not necessarily talking mortgage the whole time, which is great, perfect, but that's what they wanted. They wanted some assurances, some that, you know, it's real people. And yeah. I'm the same way. Like insurance is a good another industry that's similar. Is I have a lot of clients ask me about insurance, and I said, well, you know, a lot of good companies out there. You're going to get, you know, competitive rates all over the place. Whatever. Me personally, I like to talk to somebody, and I'll give you who I use personally because he's down the street. Which, you know, for us, it's down the street. For other people, it's like, oh, he's in Northern Virginia, and you can call and talk to him.
Right.
It's not going to be an 800 number operator, you know, giving you whatever.
We're very connected. You're not only readily available, but really good at communicating, understanding their needs, and then giving them solutions. Super high touch from the upfront when either myself or you speak with the real estate agent or the client, and through to closing, we're really, really involved, which I think is more and more unusual. I work a little bit more upfront with the real estate community because we clearly heard them say, we love Atlantic Coast Mortgage, we love Ton and the Tunador Group. We just need more business, right? There's a lot of agents out there, and we have the opportunity to work with a lot of great ones, but I spend a lot more time up front helping them with business development, sometimes up front with the clients. But saying you're behind the computer, it is everything from the initial meet and greet and connecting with them to scheduling time with them to understand their needs, to running the numbers for them in a very high-touch, visible way, Zoom call. Like, I feel like by the time they've gone through the process with you, they're very clear. They have clarity that they hadn't found before. Is that right?
Typically, everyone does. And I say typically because, you know, you can, what is it, bring a horse to water, you can't force them to drink type of thing. I mean, all of our customers have my calendar. They know they can book a Zoom call whenever they want. Well, not whenever they want, but on my calendar whenever they want. And I also push to everybody, when you're looking, don't worry about the mortgage. You're pre-approved. Don't worry about that stuff. Focus on houses, focus on the important thing. But when you find a house you're interested in or you're going to look at, shoot me the address, I say that over and over again, send me the address so I can get you some real numbers, property specific. So I push that constantly, where I hear time and time again from customers that, oh, we got pre-approved last month from abc.com mortgage and haven't heard from them since. And I wouldn't know what to ask or where or what. So we just try to stay engaged is the bottom line.
It truly is. They're like, I don't know what to ask, but you give them all the answers. Like the emails come in, we all work off of one email from a client facing standpoint. And for this upcoming weekend, they're like, we're going to see these 4 houses. Can you run numbers for us? Because no 2 houses are the same, right? Whether it's HOA, insurance, price, all the things. So you really give them great clarity. I want to talk about some stories, but first a quick question so everyone can get to know you and me a little bit better. Between the 2 of us, how long have we known each other?
Early 90s.
Yeah, over 30 years.
Yeah.
Who is more conservative with numbers and who is more, let's go for it?
How about who's more precise with numbers and who's more, let's go for it? How about that? Better way to phrase it. Yeah, I like to be precise with things. Yes.
So precise. Definitely the more conservative, but that's what we want.
That's not being conservative. That's being precise, being correct. So yes.
Correct. I have my own financial numbers. Grows on trees. All right. So most people aren't stuck because they don't have options. If anything, they're overwhelmed with too many decisions. It's really a little bit more that they don't have clarity. And I think that's one of the things we as a lending team really bring to people is clarity, helping them focus in on what they need. So a question, a lending story, we're going to talk about a lending story. You had a call the other night, ratified contract, I think it was maybe a Sunday afternoon, a little day earlier than we normally expect. And that client basically said to you, and I'm paraphrasing, you can be more precise, but it was, should they buy now or wait? They already had a ratified contract, right? And can you tell us a little bit more, walk through that real client moment with us?
Well, I mean, it was buyer's remorse happening. And just backstory, these are customers, clients of ours that first applied. I was going to look this up and I forgot to look up the date. I think it was late 2023, early 2024 was when they submitted for a pre-approval. So a couple of years ago. And since then, they've kind of come and gone. What about this house? What about that house? And we've looked at numbers and they've watched rates do this, what they always do. Generally, it's been a positive where they've gone down since they first started, which is great. But what have they seen? They've seen prices go up, of course, as well. Well, finally found the house, got a contract ratified. They got serious this spring and wrote on another house, multiple contracts, typical Ashburn single family, multiple contracts, didn't get it. This one, multiple contracts. They weren't the highest offer. They got it. Actually, the agent texted saying, thanks. That was a great team effort because the listing agent knew us, was familiar. They took our offer over another that was a little higher dollars because of lender, which is we love hearing. And so it's ratified, good to go. Think in his case, rates. I'd sent him numbers on Friday for that showing. They saw the house Saturday, wrote a contract, got it ratified on Sunday. So our rates from Friday were still good through Sunday. We were having the conversation: do we lock the rate now or not? Big what if question. And I said, well, this last month has been trying, let's say, and rates have been moving the wrong way for a few weeks. It's your call. And he said, do you think I'm being silly? Should I really be doing this now? This is a couple that they're both relatively new in the last 5 years in the United States, high income professionals, been renting, paying big dollars renting. And he said, should we be doing this? Is this the right time? Rates just went up some. And I said, look, yes, rates bumped the last couple of weeks, but they're still lower than we started. Remember back in spring 2024, whatever it was, they're lower. That's great. I said, but should you be doing this now? It was buyer's remorse. I said, well, think about if you had bought this house 2 years ago, Sure, you had a higher interest rate, but how much would the house have cost? So if you sit and wait now for another year for the rate that you want, how much is this house going to cost in another year? And I mean, we were looking at, I think they're paying $930 for the house. I'm like, I'll bet you that was $800 in spring of 2024. And what's it going to be next spring? $1 million plus? Sure. And that was like, okay, that makes sense. And I said, not to mention the, thousands of dollars per month in rent you've been paying without tax deduction. We talked about that previously.
Yeah. 100% gone.
Yeah. And I actually just had the same conversation with a young couple, Round Hill townhouse. He's a Loudoun native. She's a teacher, LCPS. And we just had that conversation. They're like, well, does it make sense right now? Because I know we're not going to get the 4.6 rate we have on our townhouse, but does it make sense? And I said, well, I started chuckling. I said, everybody thinks about this. I said, but what you got to look at, and we talked about the same thing. And that's when I use us as an example. I said, when we were shopping, granted, it was back in fall, winter of 1999, 2000. I had a hard line. Rates, I don't think was even a conversation back then, because it was, I guess, more steady, but also we didn't have the media that we have now where everybody sees everything all over the place, minute by minute changes. So that wasn't even a conversation. It was more the price. And I said, I had a hard line in the sand on my top price, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And we ended up in the house. I said to them, the house I'm sitting in right now, 26 years later, we're here. And it was $10,000 over my hard line in the sand budget. I told them, I said, Samantha said to me, you're going to laugh about this in 5 years. If we don't do it, you're going to laugh about it. If we don't do it, you're going to be upset. But if we do it, you're going to laugh about it in 5 years. And it's correct. Here we are 26 years later in the same house, because I took that, okay, I'm going to go a little bit out of my comfort zone to get in, and super glad we did. Our kids grew up here, schools.
Right. Well, first of all, ability to repay and qualified, of course, we're looking at that from the lender's standpoint. And there's you grow into a comfort zone, but I think what you said about that buyer under contract and having that remorse, the fact that you were able to see that and then walk him through it, is going to really impact his future. He's going through the house he wants. You've helped hold it together, because let's be real, remorse kills a lot of deals. And having a power partner like you as the lender who saw it and understood it and walked him through it was helpful. And it wasn't just about saving the deal. It was the fact that you had built enough rapport and trust with this buyer that they said to you, can you give me some, brotherly advice? Like, do you think this is okay? And you understood his needs, and then you were able to walk through and go, look at the numbers now. Had you done it back then, you'd be happy if you had. And your option is today, right? Or he could wait. But the reality is, when you start breaking down the numbers, which you can do with clarity and not Samantha numbers, you can do precise ton numbers, is that we can look just on national averages, not even local averages, which are higher, and go, what would the house have been a year and a half ago? What is it likely to be a year and a half from now, right? And even just being conservative and doing a 4% or a 5% increase, you can get an idea for where the price would be. And it's never smart to bet on rates while prices are going up. And here's the reality in real estate, they always go up. Who would have ever thought they would have gone from where we bought 20 some years ago to today? But that's just what real estate does. It's why it's considered a good investment. And I always say the best time to buy a house was yesterday. Next best time is today. And tomorrow is an option, right? But if you have your known, like you'd already run the numbers for them, they were getting to lock in, they knew their price, they had all of their knowns in hand versus the unknown. Just seems to make more sense, or you gave him clarity he needed to be able to move forward more confidently. So I'm so proud of just what we were able to do together, because I really feel like not only are we helping that buyer, but the agent, we just make a really good team, don't you think?
Agree.
Yes. So I don't even think, do you think the agent knew that he was hesitating?
No. I talked to her later. Nope.
Yeah. So. I love that he opened up to you about it and you were able to reassure and help him move forward. So, and if you out there, you're watching this and you have been wondering, is now a good time to buy? lender answer is, it depends, right? And what does that mean, Tom? What does that mean for them? Like, are we ready? Can we run the numbers for them? Can we help them better understand what it looks like for them?
It depends goes back to where my conversation went this afternoon with this young couple that are considering selling their townhouse in Round Hill and moving. They're going to stay in Western Loudoun. And we talked about it. And I said, look, I'm going to show you numbers, and I'm going to show them to you where you're going to understand them. And I got their comfort zone. I got an idea of what their budget is mentally, not what they qualify for at this point. We're not there yet. But I got numbers I'm going to be sending to them to give them some ideas. I said, I can help you with that. What I can't help you with is your family. You need to think about it as a longer term. This isn't just a mortgage and a rate and a house price. It's where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? They have one child, they're thinking larger family, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, that's the stuff that I will give you info to help with, but you need to think about that. So.
Right. Perfect. Well, if you want to get in touch with us to have us look at your overall picture and help give you some guidance, you can always reach us via a direct message. Ton, our team email is
teamtunador@acmllc.com. So TEAM.
Probably write that in the comments. You can find us on socials as the Best Local Lender. And we'd be honored to work with you. I think next week we'll have a conversation on what local lender means. But yes, the answer is yes, we can be your local lender in most marketplaces, many marketplaces. I'm going to put our email there. Thanks so much for joining us. We're honored to work alongside you and looking forward to connecting. Thank you, Tom, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I got to find the end button. There it is. Bye, guys.
Bye.